defense. Nile Lawrence Stample, our Florida State analyst, joins us right here on 92.5 FM. Nile, how are things?
Things have been better in Tallahassee, I tell you that.
Yeah, they
better,
have.
But I'm not bad.
You're doing good. That's important. The Florida State Seminoles right now, I think you just said something that was accurate off air before we began this, that those that were still really in support of Norvell are leaving that after this performance against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it was kind of a tipping point. I think if you're going to come into this game with some optimism and you're hopefully wanting to stick with Norvell because he's a great person. He's very intentional. I've always loved him. I've always been very happy that he's representing Florida State in the way that he does. But going into this game, you realize that this shouldn't have happened in the first place, as far as us not even being able to really compete, but then actually losing to a true freshman made the sting even worse. So I think it was a tipping point for Norvell, unfortunately.
I think Phillip Rivers was a true freshman when he beat him with NC State. I know that Jeff Sims out of Jacksonville beat Mike Norvell in his first ever game as a true freshman at Georgia Tech. But Nile, 15 plays, 75 yards, 8 minutes, 5 seconds. They go up 7-0. They also are 3 for 3 on fourth down during that first drive.
Yeah, it's there's really no excusing it. I think when it comes to what I watched, after watching the film of that game, there was so much hesitation. There was so many misreads. There's a lot of confusion, which really sucks. You don't want to see it, especially coming into the fourth game of the season, and you're sitting here and you're like, all right, as we're watching this in real time, what is actually happening? Why aren't we adjusting? Why aren't we able to pick up our guys? Why aren't we able to see the right reads? And I think a big part of that is Tony White, when he came in and he implemented this defense, I think we left a lot of the fundamentals out in order for interpretation, in order for the players to be able to just pick up. And I don't think that we were as sound on making sure that the fundamentals were like the key factor. We were too busy on trying to implement this not super complicated, but complex defense.
All right. Mickey Andrews was an absolute legend. You and I have had conversations before about Jeremy Pruitt, who was your defensive coordinator, came in. You won a national championship in 2013 with him. In my opinion, Jeremy Pruitt was one of the best in-game adjustment makers that I have ever seen. He was phenomenal at Florida State. What's Tony White doing here? And let me ask you about drops in this zone coverage. It's one thing to bring the corners and the safeties back if you're running deep routes, but you got a true freshman quarterback. The linebackers are way, way too far off the ball.
Yeah, so when you play that deep, you're playing that deep because you have had struggles in that zone. So we want to be able to make sure that we're not giving up explosive plays. And unfortunately, we did have some spies in order to make sure that he didn't get loose, but the spies didn't work because we didn't read them correctly. We didn't allow the play to develop and stay in the middle of the field. We ended up committing, unfortunately, too late. We ended up going on the wrong side of the ball. We had to stay sound and disciplined. But again, that goes against some of the things that Tony White is teaching them. So it's them just trying to figure things out, but unfortunately there's really no excuse for it. We have to be doing better overall.
Pitt does score on 4 of 5 drives in the second half. Okay, in your opinion, how much of this is the scheme of Tony White? How much is it, just flat out talent on this Florida State defense?
So if you think about though I think at this point, I don't know if I think Alabama was a fluke or they had a bad game just because of the talent of us, especially going into this Pitt game. There's no way we would have been keeping up with Alabama as of right now. So with that being the case, when you're looking at it and you're seeing the Alabama game and you watch Alabama game, it was a good game, regardless of how it was and how bad they played. It was a good game. So it's seems more like coaching than anything else, because if it was a player aspect, we wouldn't have been able to compete in that Alabama game at all.
Yeah.
So this is very much more of a coaching situation, making sure our guys are on the right page, and attitude reflects leadership. So if the coaches cannot implement it correctly, it's a results-based business. That's what these coaches have signed up for, and that's why they get paid what they do. So you have to produce on the field, and it's no one, unfortunately, other than the coaches.
That is the voice of Nile Stample, our Florida State analyst. Of course, he won a national title on the defensive line at FSU, also played for the Cleveland Browns. Let's follow that up a little bit with the Jimmies and the Joes here. The big win against Bama, but the disrespect, that's getting thrown around now a little bit. Apparently they were trash talking and doing some things pregame before Virginia. Okay, they lost that game. Then they lose to Miami. Pat Narduzzi, the head coach of Pittsburgh, comes out and said that they did the same thing as far as disrespect before the game against Pittsburgh 3 days ago. Now, talk me through this. I don't get this. When you lose 2 in a row and you're getting ready to lose another game, how can you have your players trash talking?
Yeah. The leadership that I thought was there is not being as emphasized as I thought it was, which is disappointing. I hope that we're able to see some more leaders emerge, but as the season progresses and things aren't going the way that they need to or the way players want them to go, players are going to be a little bit more reserved. We are going to have leaders step up in order for this not to get away from us. I'm obviously, just like me and you, we're both Seminoles. I'm looking forward to going and seeing this game and watching this game unfold on how we react and how we kind of respond, because we should be able to beat Stanford. But again, that's only way that happens is due to a lack of leadership.
All right, give us your thoughts. Mike Norvell now under massive fire. People will say that, Florida State doesn't have the money to buy him out. It may get to a situation where, regardless of that, they have to find it because you just can't allow this man to continue coaching. Your thoughts on Norvell? And again, I mean, they're a big favorite here going to the Farm against a very poor Stanford Cardinal football team.
Yeah, Norvell, unfortunately, I tweeted about it. I put it on Instagram. If anyone wants to follow me on Instagram, I'm at Nolen with Nile. I put up a lot of really cool insights and polls and stuff. And I put up something that is more or less saying I really do love Norvell, but love doesn't win. Like, it is what it is. Like, love isn't going to win us games. And that is ultimately why you are getting paid. That's why you are here at Florida State University. He's not winning games. It's going to be time for a move or a switch at some point, because even if we win games, we cannot recruit on the capacity that is needed. I will be rooting for Norvell until the day that change happens, because again, I'm going to root for whoever is wearing that Seminole jersey and that Seminole attire, but it is not looking good for the future because the foundation that he has created, and it is happening in real time. If you don't believe it, watch the games. We are not being coached well, and we do not have the caliber of player in order to take Florida State where they should be, and that is a national championship opportunity.
Yeah, and it's just one thing after another. I mean, I thought it was an awful call on Deuce Robinson, the retaliation, but they still got flagged. And Ritzy got flagged the week before against Miami. It crushed a drive. This one with Deuce Robinson crushed a drive, 8 penalties, 72 yards, 2 drives ruined by holding. The delay of game, thankfully, I guess, happened because they were going to try a fake punt on 4th and 8, which looked like it was absolutely going to get eaten up by Pittsburgh. So, yeah, I mean, I wish there was a bright spot. There just doesn't seem to be one right now. Yeah,
and speaking of Deuce Robinson, it sucks because I really like everyone obviously loves Deuce Robinson. He's a great player. He gets after it. He's a hard worker. We're working him a little bit too much. He's getting worked too much. And with this injury that he has, I really hope that he comes back. I hope we see him. I hope he comes out better than ever. But during that time, let's see Elijah Moore. Let's see Landon Thomas. Let's see some guys be able to create opportunities. Pittman looks like he will be back this upcoming week, which will be great for us. But I would love to see some guys be able to get some opportunities, get some new targets, and then when Deuce Robinson does come back, or if he does come back this upcoming week, we can have a more versatile, complex offensive scheme to where we could target more guys. Because right now we put ourselves in that situation by targeting Deuce and targeting Pittman only, almost directly and exclusively, which where when he went out, we weren't able to have that continuity that you need when you have multiple receivers available. Yeah. Though our room, that wide receiver room, isn't very, very deep, we should be utilizing every player that we can.
All right, final question that I'm going to ask you is, for me, it began post Trey Benson. And that was in Dublin a year ago. On that first drive, Florida State scored, but they used 3 different running backs. And it was really bizarre to me. And it still feels like he doesn't quite know who to go to. And if you look at the last 3 games, you had the big fumble by Sawchuk at Virginia, the big fumble by Croma against Miami. And then Keziah Holmes just has the ball stripped from him against Pittsburgh. All 3 of those were huge. I mean, it was a 14-point swing, arguably. Your thoughts on what's going on right now there and why they can't settle on one, maybe just 2 backs?
Yeah, I think so. When you have multiple backs, it sucks because it's the exact thing that I'm saying as far as the wide receivers are concerned. You want to be able to play multiple backs for multiple situations so that way they're fresh, they're as their absolute optimal level, and you don't want to overrun them. I agree. I think we should be using Chroma a little bit more often. I think we should be a little bit more consistent in that and not necessarily bounce around too much. But again, you do want to be able to have opportunities there. I do want to say something about the recruiting aspect of things, because if Norvell our silver lining is Norvell comes in, he wins out, or at least wins some of the majority of the back half of the season. We can keep some of these recruits, but the biggest thing that I keep hearing is that the money is buying these recruits. The money, though, is a vessel. Recruits have to understand that you have to go to where wants you the most. If money is that situation that it's showing that they want you the most because you're offering the most money and they're doing everything else, that's fine. But if there's a school that doesn't have as much money, but they are doing everything in their power, bending over backwards to try to get you to go to their school, that is the school that you must go to, because it will give you the most opportunity to live your dream as well as make way more money after you get there and you actually distinguish yourself as a true good college football player.
Yeah.
So that is what I would want to say, because we're having a little bit of issues when it comes to the recruiting aspect, and that's something I wanted to make a point on.
Yeah, NIL, they're 15th. I mean, NIL, money spent, it's not where you want it, but it was certainly much higher than Virginia and Pittsburgh.
Correct. Yep.
And we saw what happened. All right, did I forget anything else?
Nope, that's pretty much it.
Give us the very latest. What's going on at during your day job? What's happening with NLS cleaning?
Yeah, good. I actually do want to bring in one more thing, is this Stanford game. Us going over to the West Coast is going to be a little bit of a concern. We are going to be starting that game at 10:30 this time, so it's going to feel a little bit of a drag for them. I still think that should be fine, but it's something to at least consider going over there as far as that drag time. But as far as NLS cleaning, we're good to go, man. Pressure washing, window cleaning, gutter cleaning. Let us know if you ever need anything. We got you.
All right, and how do they contact you?
904-708-8802, or reach out to us on our website at nlscleaning.net.
Now, always a pleasure.
Yes, sir.